Hey guys, wanted to do a quick thing today on pinstriping. Some of the stuff that I've learned, self-taught, learned a lot from YouTube. We want to give thanks to a few guys who have helped me along the way, kind of teaching me on the fly via Facebook, YouTube, email, and one of them is I use a lot of this guy's products that I just simply love, and that's Steve Kafka. If you go to his website, stevekafka.com, you can order the Stadler Omnichrome pencils. These are water soluble, but they're great because they don't break down in hot weather. He's based out of Arizona, so he needs these more than I do. It does get very humid and hot here in the summer, and the only drawback is that if you push too deep with these, it will mar the paint. I'm not quite for sure how that works. If anybody knows, leave me a comment. I'm sure I'll catch some crap for that, but first video, so try to take it easy on me in the comments. But Stadler Omnichrome's the way to go. I know you can order them offline from other people. I just prefer to do it from him. Rinsing and using containers for brushes, as far as thinners, cleaners, and stuff like that. I go to fab shops and machine shops and stuff like that all the time, and I find this kind of stuff laying around. You can use sardine cans, basically anything you want to use to be able to put thinners in them. Like what I have here, I have some low odor mineral spirits in here that I palette. I just lay right on my palette, and I can palette out the paint. Everything's right there where I need it to be. Another Steve Kafka design tool that I use is the grid. It's perfect for making 1 inch by 1 inch grid. You just simply lay it down, trace up and down, and then flip it, and these holes that are right here, you line up on your center line just like that, and it gives you a perfect 1 inch grid all the way around. It's got measuring ruler on each side of it, and I've been using the same one now for about 5 years, and it's worked out great for me. It gives you a perfect 1 inch grid. When you're just starting out, the grids really help. I've started moving away from the grid now, but I still use it if I read the customer and I think that they're going to be kind of particular and they're going to want 100%, as close to 100% as possible, and they're going to be sticklers about it. I go ahead and I use the grid, and it's never failed me. Another thing that I like to use is a rubberized flexible ruler. This thing is great if you're laying out stuff on motorcycles, motorcycle tanks, fenders, and everything. It will bend right around. It's rubber. It's not going to mar up your paint job. It will not hurt your paint job. You can do whatever you want to with it, within reason, I'm sure. But I like it. It's got centimeters on one side, inches on the other side, and it was only $1 at the dollar store. But rubberized flexible ruler, this thing's great. It helps out a bunch. Another Steve Kafka item that I use is these bottles. You can pick these bottles up from a number of places. Like I said, when I go to stevekafka.com, this is the 4 ounce. There's also an 8 ounce, I believe, a 4 and an 8. I use primarily the 4 ounce bottles, except for my white and black. I'll put them in the 8 ounce bottles. I'm always using white and black to mix colors and to do fades and stuff like that, so I'm always using those. Another trick that I've learned over the course of time is these paperized Dixie cups. You use these to mix paint in. I know it's second nature to most painters out there, but the whole point to these videos is to help the guy who wants to get started in these. And had somebody told me about these when I first started, I probably wouldn't have wasted so much paint. But I like filling these up, just putting a drop or two down in the bottom, and then I can mix colors on the fly. I can tint colors to match existing paints on cars, and those have really helped me. And you can get these by the thousands at like Costco and Sam's Club, and even places like Target, and they're very inexpensive for the amount that you get out of them and the money that you can make. Popsicle sticks. I like using popsicle sticks to mix the paint with. And also, if I've got specialty colors that I don't want to put in the bottles, these are great. These are just like 1/4 inch wide popsicle sticks. You can get the 1/2 inch wide ones, and those are great for stirring your paint and then just picking it up and holding it over top of the Dixie cup to put your paint in there. That way you don't make a big mess trying to pour paint out of your container. And I just keep mine, a crap load of them, in a paint mixing cup. I keep all these that I get my hands on. A lot of times if I'm painting in somebody's shop, they'll give me 1 or 2 of them, and I just keep them. You never know when you're going to need them. Sometimes they come in handy. Another trick that I've recently started doing, may not be a trick to some of you, but it was to me. Jelly containers and any kind of glass container like this that has a metal lid, I keep them. And when I'm done with my mineral spirits, like I'll be done with this one here in just a little bit after I do this this tin here, I just take this after I rinse everything out and my brushes are done at the end of the day, and I pour this in this container. I just cleaned this one here out, so it's got just barely a little bit in it. But what I use this for is I store my brushes in transmission fluid and motor oil, which I know a lot of guys say that you shouldn't store it in motor oil, but I do anyway, and it hasn't failed me now for 5 years. I've still got this. I'm still using the same brushes that I bought 5-6 years ago, and I use my brushes almost daily, and they've never once failed me, except for the occasional one that gets bent, and you got to rinse them and let them air dry and all that good stuff to get the bend out of it. But I basically take this old thinner, and this is what I use. I'll pull the excess fluid out of the brush, dip it down in there, swish it around. That gets most of it out. And then I'll go in and I'll rinse it with lacquer thinner, rinse it with mineral spirits, and I'm ready to go. All the oil's completely out of it because I rinse it all the way up to the ferrule. I load it with oil all the way up to the ferrule to keep the paint nice and smooth in there if there's leftover, and it comes out whenever I hit it with thinner again afterwards. This is the first video for this channel. Hopefully we're going to start shooting videos to kind of give tutorials on lettering and pinstriping, just to help the newbies out. A lot of the videos that I watched, some of them aren't here on YouTube anymore, so I'm trying to do videos to help people out. And if there's any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section. I can take constructive criticism. This community of pinstripers and lettering artists and sign makers, it's a great it's a great community, basically, is what I'm saying. Another tip I wanted to tell you guys is I use Sunnyside. I'll usually use these for cleaning, and I've never had a problem with them. When you're thinning automotive paints, it seems like there's a little funky stuff in them, but if I'm doing automotive work, I don't use the Sunnyside. I use a good line. I'll use like if I'm using House of Color, I'll use the Custom Shop Reducer. If I'm using Custom Shop paints, or if I'm using House of Color, I'll use the right stuff. But most of the time it's just good old one shot, same stuff they've been using for 100 and some odd years. I do put hardener in mine, so I don't have to thin mine down near as much, but I do put hardener in it. Usually about 10 to 15% of hardener is what I put in it, and that is from One Shot, the hardener is. So questions, comments, likes, subscribe if you guys want to see more. We will be doing more channels whether we get subscriptions or not, so stay tuned. Thank you guys so much.